It's been a long time since the incident, and while everyone seems to have forgotten the South Ocean Railway, I have not, and I probably never will. I feel now's the time to just talk, especially since my own engine, Ivan, recently, well, died, to put it simply. Putting a stop to those damn demonic engines who caused all this. Allow me to explain. I still remember the day the line opened. It took lots of time and money, but the work paid off. The South Ocean Railway was originally opened somewhere in the 1890s, I believe. During the Big Four, the railway was merged into the LNER. Unfortunately, the line was closed thanks to the Second World War, due to a lack of maintenance and such. The line was left to rot. During the late 50s and early 60s, steam engines were being withdrawn from service on British Rail. And after years of not having rail transportation, and inspired by the new preservation societies, everyone got together and formed the South Ocean Railway Project. The Preservation Society was able to get some rolling stock, along with the original drawings for them. Some engines were also on loan, although some didn't agree with this idea. Eventually, after getting in contact with some people, we were able to build our steam engines, even though we could only use 2 different classes. I wanted to operate a locomotive, so I signed up. Thankfully, I got the job. I ended up being the driver to an engine named Ivan. I was accompanied by my fireman, Barry Smith, who had recently moved into the area and was originally a locomotive driver, so he was able to help me. We soon became best friends. After a few test runs, the railway was finally reopened on June 11th, 1978. On one of the lines, there was a military base. During that time, the Cold War was going on, so we were on edge. The line was only for goods, not passengers, and I can see why. Besides that, everything was fine. After pulling a passenger train, we decided to go down the line and meet up with Christopher, since we didn't have another train due out for another hour. As we passed the military base, the signalman stopped us. A diesel was heading down our way, so we needed to go into the siding and wait until the line was cleared. As we waited, a horn was heard in the distance. A small diesel shunter was pushing a line of oil tankers and some goods vans for the base. As they got closer, we heard cursing and noticed that they weren't slowing down. Before the points could be set, the diesel's trucks plowed into the glass door, soon followed by a diesel and an explosion. Men shouted as soot and rubble covered the air. Smoke billowed from inside the building as alarms went off. A moment later, they were screaming, followed by weird growls and hisses. Suddenly, a workman ran out of the building and told us to run. Before we could even ask any questions, the damn sirens went off. Barry and I didn't hesitate as we drove off in Ivan. Barry gasped and told me to turn around. Black smoke was covering the damn place. I pulled the regulator, and Ivan began to pick up speed. Christopher was heading in the opposite direction with his goods. We shouted for him, Gary, and Kyle to reverse. Barry shoveled in coal as fast as he could for dear life. Those damn sirens were so loud, it was making my head pound and hit like hell. I wanted to vomit. After what seemed like an eternity, we had to stop. Ivan was low on coal and water. As we tried to catch our breath, Christopher rolled in alongside us. Kyle stepped out of Christopher's cab. He was breathing heavily. We could barely understand him for a few minutes, until he finally had the composure to speak. He asked what the hell had just happened. At the time, none of us knew. Chris, Kyle, and Joseph all explained what they saw. Apparently, when they saw us coming, they saw another engine racing behind us. Chris had gotten a good look at him. All he said was, "That engine's face looked like it came out of hell itself. And it had murderous intent in his eyes, I could tell." The damn sirens finally stopped. My ears were pounding like hell. We went to a siding to refill Ivan. As we were waiting, a bus sped down the road. At first, I thought the driver was drunk or something, until it was in better view. It was one of the buses with a face. He was groaning and yelling as he zoomed along. Passengers were screaming, banging on the windows. The driver seemed unconscious. I noticed a certain detail in particular. Something was wrong with the face. At that moment, we knew that something was wrong.